Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis Nordhoff, and today I'm back with the opposition view. It's Brighton and Hove Albion versus Everton, and I'm joined by AD from the Albion Roar podcast. How are we doing, AD?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Just being blown away at the moment. I think my studio's about to be blown away to Oz. It's in a whirlwind, but yeah, we're good.
Well, obviously, last time we played each other, you were looking ahead to a game against Ajax in the week, and I can see that Ajax flag in the background. Obviously, you've had some good times, and so much has gone on in between them for both clubs, really. So let's get straight into it. Brighton sat seventh in the league, and for me, this season, it seems like it's been different for you guys. It's not been quite as free flowing as last season. Last season was simply unbelievable, but you still sat in a respectable position. How has it been so far, and what's the general chat amongst Brighton fans?
Well, look, I mean, last season was the most successful in the club's history in terms of league finish, finishing fifth, going to the FA Cup semi-final, where we should have actually won. Unlucky to lose on penalties in that one. Um, but in the summer we lost two key players in Moises Caicedo and Alexis McAllister. We're only really expecting to lose one of those, which was Alexis. But then Chelsea are just stupid. So,
You hate Chelsea. I
um,
remember that from last time, actually.
yeah, well, I mean, there's the traditional rivalry is with Crystal Palace, and that will long may that continue. But Chelsea are the fly in your soup. They're when you run out of bog roll. They're just an annoyance, and they've annoyed us again this week. But that's we'll come to that in a bit. Um, but it's we haven't really replaced Moises and Alexis. I mean, we're still maintaining that Moises' agent is just an idiot. The fact is, if you are basing your decisions on clearly football terms, you would have gone to Liverpool because it's a clear project. They had a clear view of how they wanted to use him. Alexis was already there, and he would have gone there and he would have torn the place up and he would have continued to grow. And in our view, he's the best defensive midfield player in the world. So that to see what's happened to him at Chelsea, where there is no clear plan, and it's just like yeah, we describe it as monkeys and typewriters. At some point, they might get the complete works of Shakespeare, but they're going to have to wait a very, very long time. But yeah, in terms of us losing those key players was always going to be tough. But you know what? So we're 3 points off where we were last season. Last season was a weird one anyway because it was truncated with the World Cup in the middle of it. Liverpool weren't at their full potential. Chelsea weren't there. Spurs weren't there. Man United were weird, and still are. And so we're just kind of we're on the shoulder. We knew if we could get to like January, February still being on the shoulder, then we're still in with a brilliant chance of qualifying for Europe again. And we've had so many injuries this year to key players. Everyone talks about Newcastle's injuries, about United's injuries, about Liverpool's injuries. It's like, we've lost like eight key players at key times. And that's always going to be a big miss. So the fact that we're still there or thereabouts. We're on the shoulder, ready to pounce, and I think it's going. Hopefully, it'll be a strong finish this season. We finished top of the group in the Europa League. That gave us effectively February off from that competition, so we can go straight into that one next month. We're excited to find out who we're going to get in the last 16 on Friday. Um, so we're very much in that competition, still in the FA Cup. It's looking all right. Glass is very much half full. Yeah, you losing 4-0 at Luton was a bit of an odd one, but you know, as other teams have shown, they've gone there and they've struggled as well. I mean, it took. I mean, I don't know how Man United somehow got over the line at the weekend. Um, Arsenal struggled, Man City struggled. Liverpool struggled. It's a really difficult place to go, and I'm delighted for Luton because it's been a hell of a journey for them.
Yeah, it really has. And they are giving everyone a game, aren't they? I think whenever they go into the game, they are. really making it competitive, and they've beaten us
Yeah.
twice this season, so we know all about that. But
Well, I mean, we played them first game of the season, and we never really had to get out of second gear, and we won 4-1. So they've come a long way from there, and I think they were quite naive in that game, and I think they've learned a lot from that. And yeah, it's good luck to them.
everyone just wrote them off, I think, and then they're playing with no fear, and then now they can just really go for it. We are playing
Yeah.
with a bit more fear because of a different expectation at Everton, and going into this game, we haven't really scored many open play goals in a long time. So there's a bit of worry at Everton at the minute. We're scoring from set pieces still. We're really remaining resolute, and we know what happened at Brighton away last year, so there's a
Well,
bit
you
of
know
hope from
what?
that.
You
I had to
haven't
bring
won an
that up.
eight. You haven't won an eight. You can't score goals. Dr. Brighton will see you now.
Well, I hope so, mate. I really hope so because last year we suddenly
I mean,
found
you
out how
know,
to score
I mean,
goals.
when I spoke to you last time, I said that okay, we lost that game 5-1, and but we didn't play badly. It's just that you we on another day we would have won that game 5-1. It was just the fact that you had a game plan. It worked on the day, and fair play to you. Congratulations. It was like, it was a Dyche masterclass in that game. But I mean
Yeah.
that's going to be burning a hole in De Zerbi's psyche, and he's going to want to avenge that. I know it's a big week for Everton. There's a lot of stuff going on off the pitch. Um, we just don't want that to be a distraction. We don't want. I'm not quite sure what we want for you out of that. I mean, if we're talking as football fans and not as rivals going into the weekend, stupid penalty. Not quite sure what it's all about. Okay, if there's going to be a punishment, there should be a punishment, but just to make it up as you're going along, particularly when you've got the likes of Man City with their 115 charges, which at some point might see the light of day, but you know, I'm not quite sure what century that's going to be in, and whether you know, it's whether we're still going to be alive when that happens. But it's just utterly ridiculous how it's all transgressed, and it seems from what I've heard that there was some administrative errors, but from what I can see, they were quite easily explained. So hopefully the verdict will come out, and like you'll be more delighted about that, and your eyes will be off the ball.
Well, I hope so because anything positive in that verdict can just massively affect our season. And we started this week feeling really positive, thinking, right, this could be a real defining week for Everton.
And then you play
We went
Crystal Palace.
Yeah, we went to play Crystal Palace, your mates at home, and the performance just wasn't there at all, unfortunately. We ended up with a draw, but once again, the lack of creating chances from open play is worrying. We don't really have a way of creating chances in open play. We are amazing from set pieces, so I'd be very worried about that if I were you. But in terms of open play, that's still the thing that's evading us at the minute. Maybe more so at home than away, and our away form has been fantastic overall this season. So that gives me a bit more hope. But the thought was this week beat Palace, move out of the relegation zone, which we have anyway with a draw, but it's not quite the same as if we got three. And then hopefully receive a positive outcome in the appeal verdict. And then we go down
And
to
then go to the
Brighton and go and
Winchester
beat
and
you
wait for it all
5-1
to
again.
blow over.
Go and beat you 5-1 again at the Amex. But we'll have to see now whether the verdict will come in before the Brighton game or whether it'll be next week. Even we have no idea at this point. But a positive outcome could really affect the mindset, I suppose, because the players are currently playing under a lot of pressure because they're in this relegation battle that they haven't deserved to be in. They've earned enough points to be on 30 points now, well away from the relegation zone, and instead they're embroiled in this battle. So if we can get a good amount of points back, it might just give the players that lift. Is that something that worries you about Everton? How are you feeling about us in general going into this game?
But Everton, don't really feel anything to be honest.
Fair enough,
I'm
mate.
not gonna
Fair
lie.
enough.
It's just yeah, the game up at your place was a bit frustrating from our point of view. We gifted you a goal, and then you gifted us one back. We weren't quite at it. But draw was a fair result in the end, I suppose. But the whole 10 point thing. I mean, if someone's going to get relegated, you want it to be on small sporting merit, and not on administrative errors. it should be a level field on that point because at the end of the day, it's the fans that are getting punished for something that's gone on behind the scenes, and um, it's a bit of a tough one. But we're used to seeing Everton challenging at the other side, at the other end of the table, not having to constantly look over your shoulders and seeing the trapdoor right there. So it is a bit weird. I can't see there definitely has been something weird going on behind the scenes. The recruitment's been terrible. The management behind the scenes has been terrible from what we can work out because you've always had a certain being able to attract a certain type of player, if you like. And we're not really seeing too many of those there at the moment. And I mean, our model of recruitment is quite different to others, and it's been very successful. And then long may that continue. But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. But what we are doing, and we're continuing to see, I mean, with the likes of Jack Hinshaw coming through, like 18-year-old, Brighton born and bred. His dad played for the Albion. His uncle managed the Albion. His other uncle played for little place. But yeah, small clubs, terrible. Um, but that's one that the fans can really get behind, and we've got other players of a similar ilk coming through that we're excited that and are getting the opportunities and the minutes in the first team, as well as bringing in players like highly rated players like Valentin Barco, who's just arrived from Argentina, having just helped Argentina qualify for the Olympics. He played in the Copa Libertadores final for Boca um, um, this year as well. So he's a highly rated player that's just come in. He's not going to be. He won't be in the squad for Saturday, but it won't possibly in the cup game at Wolves next midweek. But so when you look at the way that the clubs are being run and as a comparison, it just seems weird that why more clubs aren't trying to do what we're doing.
Well, what you're doing is incredible, isn't it? It does stand out. I think you can see that by the fact that Club Newcastle came and poached Dan Ashworth, didn't they? You've had your players nicked. Obviously, people look at what Brighton are doing, and it is a really successful model. The fact that you can bring in an Argentine player like that, and you have such a great scouting network in South America as well, that's something that not all clubs can really afford to set up. And I think you set it up at a point where it was kind of low level and you've built it up over time. And now you bring in the players in and you're seeing the fruits of that. And
Well,
that is
well,
something that's difficult to have because I think Everton don't currently have a major presence in South America, but I think it is something that they are looking at.
look. Here's the headline news: Newcastle. Here's the headline news: Chelsea. You can take head of recruitment. I mean, there's been a lot of interesting journalistic I can't even say revisionism this week when you say, "Oh, Dan Ashworth brought this player, he brought that player." No, he didn't. He didn't bring in any players. He was behind the scenes sorting out various things with the infrastructure and putting certain things in place. But he didn't recruit anybody. And Chelsea have taken up our head of recruitment twice with Paul Winstanley and now Sam Jewell. They can't take the algorithm with them. They can't take Tony Bloom with them. If they can get Tony Bloom, which they can't, then they might have a chance of repeating some of that success because it's Tony Bloom's stylised system that finds these talents, and then we can put the scouts on the ground in the various places where these gems are located. It's not. It's you've got good people running, and I'm not putting Sam Kerr down. I'm not putting not Sam Kerr, Sam Jewell, sorry. It's a completely different person. But
She
also at
plays for
Chelsea,
Chelsea, doesn't
strangely.
she? Chelsea's just in your head rent free, mate.
Yeah, living rent free. Um, but it's they can't. There's other systems in place, and they can go. They're going to be doing a spot of gardening for a while, and any target they'll be aware of some targets possibly for the next window, but they won't be at Chelsea or whatever clubs they want to go to, um, buy it for the next window, and by which time things will have moved on. So it's just very very frustrating. I mean, it's like the Chelsea model. It's just, I mean, I said I probably said this, but have you ever seen Todd Bowley and Cartman from South Park in the same room at the same time? I
You
don't think so.
you made this exact reference last time
I
we
don't.
were on
It's
as
just
well,
like
and I still
it's
hadn't.
just. It's just ridiculous. It hasn't got a clue. I mean, American sports works in a very different way, and he's trying to replicate things there, but and it's they've got such an entitled fan base as well. It's just oh,
So
we're going to get De
Chelsea
Zerbi,
bothers you
are you?
quite a
Oh,
lot, doesn't
good,
it?
well done, congratulations.
Chelsea seem to be just there in the corner of your minds at all times. But let's go on to the game. Brighton versus Everton, thankfully. No Chelsea involved, luckily for you. Last time at Goodison, it was a weird, weird game. We ended on 20% possession. 20% possession, which was just unbelievable. But the game plan worked. The game plan was there to defend and make sure we limited you to as much as we could limit you. And you ended up with very little chances. I think it was less than one goal of XG in the end. And you equalised by a fluke goal that flew in off Ashley Young's shin. So the
Yeah,
plan worked last time, and going into this game, I feel like we can get something if we just set up right and bring back those away performances from earlier on in the season. And I'd say on paper, Brighton versus Everton looks like a better game for Everton than Brighton because you guys have struggled against Dyche's setup in recent times. And like you said,
yeah.
De Zerbi's going to have a bit of a vengeance, isn't he? But how is it that you are going to stop us? Because I feel like our setup would pose a bit of a threat.
I don't think we're going to go into the game trying to stop you. Is the honest answer. I think we'll
Same
worry
again
about
then,
us.
because same again
Well,
might be
I mean,
naive.
apart from a minor blip at the beginning of the year, we'd pretty much we'd scored in every game for the last season and a half. But we were leaving ourselves open at the other end. I mean, that's the De Zerbi way. You know, if you win 2-1, you might as well win 3-2, or 4-3, or 6-5. I mean, that's De Zerbi's mentality. As long as you score more goals than the opposition, that's the way that he sees football, and that's exciting. It's not so exciting when you're seeing the goals go in at the other end, but it's you know we're loving seeing it. We're loving seeing us. I mean, we're on 67 goals for the season already. We got
Fantastic.
we're looking hopefully to get over 100 again this season, which would be nice in all competitions. Um, and when we played you last time, and we've there's certain we've had like I said, we've had injuries. We lost Solly March for the season. We've now lost Jack Kindred for the season. We'd lost Julio and Ciso. Um, Obviously losing Moises and Alexis as well. I'm not replacing them is always going to leave a massive hole. Um, and there was players out of form as well. But since coming back from AFCON as a champion, Simon Adingra's come back rejuvenated. He's not looking as tired as he was. Um, the real Kuru return, Matoma's turned up, which we saw. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't as electric as we know he can be, and he's starting to show that he's back to that form again. So that should be a worry for any opposition. Um, Hopefully, João Pedro will be back for the weekend. You know, he's closing on 20 goals for the season, which is great. Um, Danny Welbeck scoring. We've got Evan Ferguson, who hopefully will come back into form at some point. And we've got a lot of exciting talent coming through. And the Facu Bernate is starting to show what the player that we thought we signed. So we're we're going into every game confident. Um, and and that is the way to go into any game. Because you know what, if you go into a game thinking you're going to lose, you know what, you're going to lose.
Yeah, that's a very, very true point, to be fair. Simon
So
Adingra and Kairi Matoma are two wonderful players, aren't they? Adingra obviously got the brace against Sheffield United, and they played you into a bit of form there, didn't they?
Um, you know what? As 5-0 go, we didn't have to break a sweat. we didn't have to get out of first gear. I mean, admittedly, Sheffield United's game plan went out the window in the 13th minute when Holgate got sent off, which you must
Terrible
have been
tackle.
delighted about.
Terrible tackle, that.
Um, it was, yeah, well, Carew was just very, very, very lucky that his leg wasn't planted at the time because that was a leg breaker. And but we did what we had to do. We could have scored more goals actually. It was just a walk in the park after that. Really, I mean, we will always give opportunities. We'll always give chances, but um, it's and Sheffield United had a couple, and they had the ball in the back of the net, which was ruled out for offside. Just we're still not quite sure whether it was or not, but I mean, we've had enough games over the last couple of years where VAR have completely got it wrong, like drawing the lines in the wrong place. And actually, and just to go back to actually, there was speaking about VAR drawing the lines in the wrong place. They did it at Goodison Park as well after Lewis Dunk's goal. Apparently, you can score with. Apparently, you can now score with your hand. You can score with your arm. You can do. You can. That is allowed. That is the law. Handball is allowed.
It was some volley, that, wasn't
I'm
it? It was
sorry,
unlucky
officials.
to be
No, it's not.
disallowed.
It was a goal. They shouldn't have done. They drew the line in the wrong place. And yet again, um, Howard Webb had to trundle down to Lancing to the training ground and apologise again. He doesn't even need his sat nav anymore.
That's it, and I suppose that game, if you'd have scored that, it would have been a completely different match. And it was an
Yeah, it was a
incredible
brilliant
volley
goal as
from
well.
Dunk. And then obviously we held out then, didn't we? So I feel like the fact that we've done that once, maybe we can do it again. The players we've talked about, you've got a vast array of talent now. And if Evan Ferguson decides to hit form against us, that wouldn't be pleasant. But we've also got a striker who we're waiting to hit form, and that's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's now
Yeah.
not scored in 19 games. And going into the 20th against Brighton, are you worried that he could break his duck against Brighton? Is that, if you look purely at Everton, do you think that how are we going to get past you basically? How is it that we are going to beat you? Because
Set
you're not
pieces.
invincible, are you? That's it. Is it set
No,
pieces?
we're not. We'll allow chances, and the way that we play, we're quite easy to counter attack.
That's good for us.
But so and it again, and it also depends. I mean, we've changed the goalkeeper 15 times this season, which is a bit bizarre. I'm not totally in favour of that, but it's a weird one because it does lead. I think it leads to inconsistency with the defence because even though they're both trained the same and they're told to play the same way, they're different players, right? So
Yeah.
just because they're allowed to use their hands doesn't mean they're not very, very different in the way that they play. So um and that's a bit of an odd one. But yeah, no, I mean I mean we'll give you chances, but the plan is score more goals than you and get the 3 points and carry on. I mean we were delighted. I mean this is the Brighton way. Um a very small known fact that came out of the Sheffield United game was that we're now on 38 points. So I think we're safe.
Happy days. There you go. I
Yeah.
don't think you guys are worried about that, are you? I wish we were on 38 points.
We're still that's our mentality. Safety first. And
Well,
then
we can go
add,
into
add,
that then and say we've earned 30 points this season, so we're only actually 8 points off you in terms of
yeah, I
points
know. Well,
accumulated.
after you got the points deduction, yeah, you went on a tremendous run of form, but it's seems to have evaporated of late, and obviously I'm hoping that continues at the weekend. So sorry guys, but yeah,
Fair enough. So give us a score prediction then. What are you saying?
4-1 Albion.
4-1, 4-1. There won't be many happy blues in the comments there. Oh, I'm gonna have to counter that. I'll back us this time. I'm gonna say we're gonna nick it. 2-1. You're gonna score because you're
Yeah.
scoring every game, and we're gonna do
Well, we're
something
due a
similar,
full.
but not on
We
the
are
same level as last year.
we are due a 4-all at some point. So
Oh, really? I'd take that to be fair.
well, I thought we won. We were expecting the game against West Ham this season to finish 4-1. We won the first two games 4-1, so it would have been all 4-1 and 1-all. But
Oh, there we go. But we'll score four corners and you'll score four
uh,
beautifully crafted goals.
yeah, monkeys
But
and
we'll take it.
typewriters again.
a point to
Yeah.
point, isn't it? So I think Everton fans would be pretty happy with the draw here. We just need that win, though. We've not had a win since December the 16th, and it'll just do wonders for confidence. But that is all for the game chat. But now I've got some random questions for you. Quick fire, AD. I'm just going to fire them at
Mhm.
you, okay? First of all, who are your favourite five footballers of all time?
Brighton ones or generally?
Anyone, just fire them out.
Brighton would be Steve Penny, um, wing wizard. It's he was an Albion player when I first really fell in love with the club. And it's like always the first one. And I've been lucky enough to meet him a few times, and he's a really lovely guy. Um, Paul Gascoigne, obviously genius.
Former Everton player.
Um, Platini was always, I mean, a terrible administrator and person, it seems, but absolutely wonderful footballer, as was Zidane. Um, I always had a soft spot for Glenn Hoddle for being a brilliant player as well. Glenn Murray he's always been is an Albion hero here. Pascal Gross, underrated, um, been like pretty much ever present throughout our second stint in the top flight. Um, More goals, more assists than anybody else, and he's just a really fabulous footballer, and he just completely flies under the radar, which is great. I mean, we play. You mentioned that we played at Ajax recently, and we did, and we had a wonderful time at the Johan Cruyff Arena. But we've decided that it should be now called the Pascal Gross Arena because he has taken the Cruyff turn and made it his own.
Fair play. He's a very underrated player, isn't he? Don't think he gets the respect he deserves. He's just so consistent and versatile.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah,
He's a
absolutely.
massive player for you guys, and a player that we didn't talk about, but it's just another player to add to that Brighton selection of
He
talent
does.
that you've
He
got.
does. I mean, we don't talk. I mean, on our show. I mean, we do talk about him quite a lot, but not as much as others. It's because even to us, he's a little bit. Well, I wouldn't say he's underrated, but he's just always there. He's just
Yeah.
always there.
You need players who consistently put in the 7, 8 out of 10s, don't you? That's an
Yeah.
important thing for a good side. But finally, I've got league predictions for you. Title winners and the bottom three.
Title winners Liverpool. Sorry.
Right, that's it. Video pulled.
I'd be delighted to see Liverpool get it. Because if Liverpool win it, it means that Man City haven't. That's good for football. Or Arsenal. I'd like to see them do it as well. Um, Relegation, obviously Sheffield United, um, Burnley. Another. I'd like to see you escape. I'd like to see Luton escape. So let's just say Crystal Palace.
Ah, yeah, that'll do. That'll do, actually. With the new manager, that is a bold shout, though, with the new manager. And
Yeah, well, you can't polish a turd, can you? If they haven't got Elise and Eze fit, they're not very good, basically.
so the main things we've learned today is that you want a 4-4 in this game. You
No,
hate
I don't want a
Chelsea.
4-4 in this game. I told you 4-1.
Yeah, you want
I want
you
a, I want
you
an
think a
8-0 is
4-4 is
what I
coming,
want.
don't you? Yeah, so you want to batter us and you think you're going to batter us. You hate
I don't
Chelsea and
think
you
I'm
hate
going to
Crystal
do it. I
Palace.
don't. Well, we battered Crystal Palace
You
4-1.
did. Well, we'll have to see what happens, won't we? It's been great having you on, though, AD, as always. That is all
Pleasure.
from the opposition view this week. We do hope you enjoyed it. Leave us your predictions in the comments. If I see any 4-1 Brightons in there, then there'll be words. So hopefully none of them. Hopefully all Everton wins. But do leave a
It's, we,
like,
we, it's our most
subscribe.
popular scoreline. What can I say?
Yeah, Brighton love winning 4-1. Everton, unfortunately, don't. But if you put 4-1, I will like your comment. So see you in a bit.